Okay, welcome everyone to the Pro Trade Room Plus and the 7-year auction. My name is Lee Goldstein, the trading director at 10-Minute Trades. Please remember, I'm not a financial advisor. All the trades we discuss are for educational purposes. Okay, welcome everyone who's watching us on YouTube. This is our final stream of the week. Let me just set it up, the final setup, so I can see everyone. Okay, let's get started. Let me grab a couple of things here. Give me a second. So the bond and note auctions, they, when the tariff issue first started, there were one or two auctions that were fantastic. And then they have reverted right back to normal. So I'm not really expecting anything out of bonds. And you should be trading ZB 925. Most of us, if you're using a prop account, you can't trade bonds anyway, in a lot of the prop accounts. Looking at the DMM for bonds, DMM being our daily trade report. So you could see this 7-year note auction has had one winner in the past 6 months on bonds. So I'm going to say that again. One winner in the past 6 months on bonds. Do you think I have any interest in trading bonds on this report? Now, the YM, it's been working a little better. We didn't trade YM for a couple of, quite about 3 or 4 months because the volatility has been too high. So for us, I don't really have YM performance, but the truth is we can look at the videos and we can figure it out right now. So let me pull up some 7-year videos. So I've got videos on the 7-year going back quite a few months. We've got October, we've got January. I would say in general, I've got March. The YM seems a little bit more manageable right now than it was a month or two. So I'm going to trade the YM setup in my prop account. Would I trade it in a cash account? I probably wouldn't, to be honest. I don't think this report is good enough. I think it's okay to trade it in prop because, let's be honest, if your prop account has a small loss, it's not going to destroy most prop accounts. It's one trade that might not work. So that's not the end of the world. Looking at January, I should have, let me see if I've got March or April. I should have April. I had some problems, I remember, with some videos. I don't have April. I have March. I don't have February. But I do have January. So let's look at March and January. And I should have December. Depending on is nah, December was Christmas the day after. That's not going to help us. Let's look at November. And I don't have November. So, nope, all I've got are three that are worth looking at. So let's look at March and see if we were looking at the YM in March. We should have been. I would think so. So YM is in the middle here. I mean, very honestly, this is not a report that's been performing very well. That's the reality of the report. It's not performing. So when a report's not performing, you certainly don't want to trade your cash on it. You want to wait for a report to start behaving before you start trading it. So in March, the YM is right here in the middle. $30. It took 30, 35, no more. Yeah, 35 seconds to fill, and it did not have a very good follow through. Now, it didn't stop us out initially, but eventually it did. So March was not a very strong performer on the YM. Looking at January on the YM, so January on the YM, chart on the right, the YM was pretty volatile that day. It was up over 138 points at the time of the trade. And you can see the chart, there looked like a fair amount of volatility. One of the problems with the YM setting is if the bracket's too small, it's real easy to get filled on the wrong side of the event. That's one of the issues. And in March, we were not trading live real money or prop money. We were just watching. And it did fill long. It missed the target by one tick. And it did go up and hit the first target and the second target. So January was good on the YM. Let me look at my journal and see if I made notes about both setups. So give me a second. Let's look at April. Let me look at April. So what do we have? April 23rd. And usually I keep track of both YM and so something happened on that. Nope, I didn't make any notes at all for April. That's really strange. Normally I do. So April, it was dull, three ticks for bonds. That means bonds were not worth trading. But I don't know what happened to the YM in April. In March, let's take a look. March 27th, stopped on the YM, but we didn't trade it live due to performance issues. This report has not been trading well, so You got to think real hard if you're going to take a trade. And then in February it traded on the 26th. And we did not take the trade because it was too difficult because of tariff tweeting. Okay, that's the journal notes in February. So only a couple of YMs that we've really looked at seriously. Last month, if anybody has a journal on their YM trade last month, I did not track last month by mistake. March was not great and January was fine. February was a no trade. So the YM not really performing all that great on this particular report. I'll take a shot on it in one of my prop accounts. So I'll set the prop account up very close to the DMM. So it's a breakout strategy. I'm going to trigger at 13:01:30. That's the time of the trigger. The bracket is 15. That's a little big, but the problem is getting filled before the news comes out. I want to try to avoid it. I think there's probably enough movement in this market to at least get the first target if there's a decent move. We'll check and see what the volatility is like. Maybe we'll go with a 12 bracket. Target 1 is 12 ticks. I think what I'll do on target 1 is 10 ticks. Target 2, 25. And the stop is 20. Excuse me. If it hits my first target, I will do target 1 stop move, break even -5, and I'll trade it in a Bullinox account. Same one I've been using all morning. So that account's up a little bit. I think 130 bucks. And we'll call that breakout YM. I will set the software to sim for a moment, the trade, and I'll set the time to 0 so we could look at our bracket management and see right now the YM is extremely bullish. After 12, there was a big sell-off this morning. The indexes were bullish overnight and they've been selling off since. And then there was quite a sell-off around noon. There was a tariff comment, naturally, and now they've recovered to above where they were on that news. But the YM is still negative from last evening a little bit. But the bullish tone looks like right now it is a bullish tone. Let's see what our bracket looks like. 15 minutes or so before the trade. So you need movement in price before you get a bracket to calculate. So I'll put the time back to normal on the YM, 13:01:30. That's when we're triggering this event, 13:01:30. MYM, I would double the stop, double the stop. So I'd use a 40. 10 and 25 on the targets. Bracket is 15. Here's a 12 bracket with the time set to 0. I'm going to try with a 12 bracket. All right, trying with a 12. So one more time, our setup is as follows. YM breakout, 13:01:30 on the trigger on the activation time, 13:01:30. All right. Targets of 10 and 25, trading one contract on each position, 20 stop. And if target one gets hit, I'll move my stop to break even -5. I'll trade this in Bull and Ox. Label it breakout YM. Put the chart trader on Bull and Ox. Turn on the trade, and I'll also set up reverse continuation. You know, Powell's talking right now, unfortunately, or they're talking about what Powell and Trump discussed. Powell was at the White House. So Trump asked him to come over. Powell does not ask Trump ever. The Federal Reserve does not ask for meetings, but they will go if someone asks them to come for a meeting. That's how it works. Okay. That's two people that I don't think like each other very much. That must have been an interesting meeting. I would love to have seen that. Love to have seen that meeting. So I'm setting up a reverse continuation on the YM. It's an extra position, an extra strategy on our breakout chart, reverse continue. And I'll do a 2 position, and I'll do a 30 tick target with a 30 tick stop. And that's a possible scalp. Position 1 is a 2. I have a 30 tick target, a 30 tick stop, and I'll call that YM reverse continue. Not complicated. And that will be traded in the same account that the breakout. And it would not be traded until the breakout is over. Apply it, okay it. So we have 2 setups on one chart. Now I'm also setting up the bond trade as a sim only because bonds have been horrible for 6 months, not worth trading. So I'm not, and the only account I can trade it in today would be our cash account, and I have 0 interest, less than 0 interest in trading this report with cash. Same trigger time, 13:01:30. The bracket is 3, a target of 2 and 8. I'd use a little bit bigger target just in case there's a move. In fact, I would go 10 on target 2, not on positions. Position 1 is a 1, position 2 is a 1. Target 2 is a 2. Target 1 is a 2. Second target is 10. The stop is 5. See, the market's moving on these comments. The market's moving on these comments. All right. 13:01:30. Bracket of 3. Target of 2. Target of 10. Stop of 5, not 3. Use a 5. If it hits my first target, it doesn't make sense to move to break even. It's only 2 ticks. I don't use the break even on the bond report. I move my stop manually if necessary. And then I'll label this breakout. I'll just label this bonds. It's the only setup, so I know it's a breakout. And I'll set the time to 0 to look at our bracket. Definitely going to go back to the 15 bracket on the YM because of the volatility. Okay, here's our bond bracket. And now I'm going to put the bonds back to 130130. So this way I don't really have to watch bonds. I can let that trade on its own. The YM breakout, we need to keep an eye on it because the YM is a bit volatile because of the commentary. Not out of control, but it could just burst into a fill when you don't want it to. Don't forget also you can use the adjust button to keep your bracket centered once the orders are on the chart. So I'm just going to go watching the price action for a minute to decide if I want to use that 15 bracket. The hesitation is I don't want to leave all the profit in the bracket. All right, you could see the YM, it's got some movement. That was like a 14, 12 to 13 tick candle there. So I think these auctions are important. I think there probably will be better bond movement than normal. I'm just not dying to trade it in our cash account because this particular report's been so poor. It really has not proven itself. Right now, I'm going to stay with that 12 bracket, folks. Staying with the 12 bracket. Don't forget, you can use that adjust button. Putting net change display indicator on bonds on ticks. 32 ticks would be a point. And the YM already is on ticks or points. It's the same for the YM. We looked at a couple of videos, so we don't need to look at another video. We could look at October. We never looked at October. Now, looking at the DMM in October, so you could see how really horribly this report's been trading. Going back to April, right? You're talking about going back to April. If we open up our current DMM and put it beside here, we go back a full year, right? There's been 2 winners in the past year, 3 cancels, 4 stops, 3 dulls, 3, 6, 9. Not good. Not good. Okay, you get the idea why I'm not that interested? in trading bonds. Now, the fascinating thing, though, is you can get a good move today because there's so much attention on bonds this week. Also, there's extra attention, I think, because of all this government by tweet, tariff tweets, also court rulings, everything that's going on. It makes for more volatility in some of the reports, especially reports that do bonds. So this is October when none of this was going on. So this was just normal trading. YM on the right, bonds on the left. 25 seconds after the orders went on the chart, very slow response to the news. And you could see bonds popped up a little bit, YM popped up. I think we looked at this one, didn't we? Yeah. No, we didn't. We didn't. It hit the first target and pulled back. Okay, look at the YM now. So the YM had a candle while we weren't watching. I'm definitely going back to the 15 bracket. So I'm unchecking the enabled box, clicking strategy, clicking breakout trade. Make sure you uncheck the right box so you can adjust it. Excuse me. And I'm changing my bracket to 15, apply it and OK it, and turn it back on. So there's extra risk now because of the comments, right? And also the press briefing starts at 1. I don't think that'll affect us. We'll be done. Turn back on equals enabled. Yep. 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 So you could see the YM is a little bit busy. A little bit busy. They're waiting on what did he say he's waiting on in the news? Okay, no. So what happens is they get bond auction data at 1 o'clock. Then the actual auction affects the market at 13:01:30. Now, the YM is looking a little bit risky. So it could be very possible to get filled on the wrong side. It's frisky. It's a little bit frisky. Here come our orders. So remember the adjust button. You can use it. I try not to use it unless I have to. Right now, we're a couple of ticks off of the current price. So I would not normally use the button now. Now we're 2 ticks off, flat, 1 or 2 ticks, flat, flattish. Looks like we may make it to the auction. I'm not pressing the button. I'm not pressing the button. I'm going to live and die with the move. Okay, I had a feeling it was going to go long. Now, if we get a follow through, the bonds moved great. I would move my stop to flat on the bonds, and the YM were not getting a follow through. It missed our target by 2 ticks, it looks. Now it's trying to push up. I don't, I'm tempted to expand the stop by a couple of ticks, trying to see if it'll push up. I don't think our fill was very good. I think there was slippage on the fill. In a prop account, that just makes zero sense. It's a data feed. It's a sim feed. I was actually, as poor as bonds were trading, I was really thinking they might have a reaction today. They did, and it would be an easily profitable move. And the YM, I'm expanding my stop by 2 ticks, and it's not going to work. It's going to take us out. It's really so annoying that you get a positive move and no follow through. No follow through. Bonds, on the other hand, nicely profitable. Your stop is in safety, turning off the YM breakout. And I don't think that we got filled necessarily on the wrong side, that I want to jump into a short because I don't think it was a fill on the wrong side. Now, I could be proven wrong here, but I'm not going to take that short. I don't think it's the right direction. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But and bonds are just kind of chopping now, where you could leave your stop where it is. It's a couple of ticks away from price. Every time it goes up, you can increase your stop by 1. All right, just watching bonds. So bonds were positive, and what I would do here is move my target up. You could have had a very decent bond trade. The YM just didn't work. Just didn't work. Now, and I expanded the stop. I think the YM is bullish. I expanded the stop, but it wasn't enough. So it is what it is. It is what it is. Okay, everyone. We will be back. Um, Let me check. We'll be back at 3:30 for Marvell and Dell. Thanks everyone for watching on YouTube. Really appreciate it. Hit the like button on YouTube.